This is the main event!
What's up, everyone? I decided to make a different kind of video today, where I'm taking a look at a Reddit post specifically about wrestling that's been being passed around and going a little viral, and I got some friends to help me out respond to this, but it's about a woman specifically saying that wrestling and her husband being a wrestling fan is somehow ruining her marriage. I think I'm going to have some interesting takes here from my guest today, and we'll get into it right now. This is from Our Relationship Advice. The title is, My 26-year-old female husband, 33-year-old male, is obsessed with pro wrestling and it's ruining our marriage. Do I leave? Throwaway, as my husband is on Reddit. My husband was into pro wrestling as a kid, fell out of it, but over the last few years has eased back into it. I've never been a pro wrestling fan. I thought it was something that people watched as kids and grew out of, but he has become obsessed, and it's escalating to a point where I no longer feel comfortable. Apologies as I may not get all the terms right. I'm exposed to wrestling a lot, but I try to avoid watching it. It started harmlessly enough. He'd watch the pay-per-view events like WrestleMania, then he started watching recaps of the weekly shows. Now he's glued to the couch every night there's a live pro wrestling event. He watches multiple wrestling shows, not just WWE. He started spending money, I mean a lot of money, on merchandise, t-shirts, hats, action figures, the fake belts, etc. God dang it, championships, pal. She's already wrong. I was okay with this, as it was nice to see his passion reignited for something. He's been in a rough spot with work lately, but now pro wrestling is the only thing he cares about. He yells at the TV like he's part of the crowd, cheering or booing. When he's watching and when he's not watching, he constantly shouts out their catchphrases randomly. He says things like, yeet, acknowledge me, you can't see me, etc. He actually gets irritated if I don't play along with him, like if I don't raise my hand when he says acknowledge me. This past weekend was the worst of it. Those of you who know it was WrestleMania. He asked me to refer to him as the final boss all weekend. I laughed it off and thought he was joking, but he wasn't. We actually got into an argument about it Saturday evening because he said I wasn't supporting him in the way he needs and that whenever he's watching wrestling, I look bored, disinterested, etc. I look that way because I am. He's got to be watching 15 hours of wrestling a week easy. When Jey Uso won at WrestleMania, he literally jumped on top of our couch waving his arms. It was embarrassing and I left the room. I don't want to say too much regarding our intimacy, but he's asked for a lot of role-playing lately as well, and it has me very concerned. The things he's asked me to do and say make me super uncomfortable. It's all wrestling related. My God, things have taken a toll on me mentally. It's non-stop. He sends me memes of Roman Reigns and a bunch of other wrestlers. He talks like them, acts like them, and demands I participate in his little performances. Sunday night, the wrestler he wanted to win didn't win, and it's still affecting him today. His mood sours and he seems depressed. I hate to admit it, but it's been kind of nice. He hasn't been as loud and noisy as usual. So, Reddit, I need help. I just don't think I can deal with it anymore. He sings the wrestlers' songs, he does their sayings, he's got all their t-shirts, and he's even got tickets for us to the next show coming through in about 3 weeks, but I just don't think I can take it. Okay, honestly, I thought this was going to go in a much different direction. I thought that this was just going to be a nagging wife. Honestly, I'm not, super into pro wrestling like I used to be. I still watch every once in a while, and I try to do it when my wife's not around, but she still complains about it because she just hates pro wrestling so much. So that's a little irritating. Some wives are cooler about it than other wives. But this wife seems like she was, not doing that. At least, I don't know. It's all written from her perspective, but it seems like she was just whatever, enjoy your little wrestling, whatever, just leave me out of it. This dude's weird, okay? If he's, doing a YouTube channel or a podcast or a radio show or whatever the hell, fine, whatever. But he's not. He's just, walking around acting like a teenager in the Attitude Era, and it's, this is weird. She said he was, 33. I don't even know what to say. I'm 34, and I'll say something every once in a while, but it's always to my friends who also are in on it and they get the joke. But I don't just walk around doing that. Every once in a while I'll have a wrestler theme stuck in my head, but I'm not just going to blurt it out in public because I'm, a normal human being. I'm not a freak. But I don't know. What do you guys think about this? I'm really super curious.
So I actually saw this a few days ago on Twitter. I saw the headline of this thread, and I didn't really look into it because I assumed kind of what you did. I kind of just assumed that it was just a wife that wasn't letting her husband do what he wanted. Well, what wasn't letting her husband spread his wings and have hobbies. And you can have a lot worse hobbies than pro wrestling, let me tell you that. But as this Reddit post went on, I began to flip the other way And after reading all of it, it's pretty evident that this guy's a psychopath. And look, as somebody personally who watches several hours of wrestling a week, I can't get on the guy for watching a lot of wrestling. And I don't think you can really get on him for like being into the show, cheering, booing, whatever. I mean, I think that's what it's all about ultimately. However, there's a certain point where it becomes a little too much. I mean, the intimacy? What does this even? I gotta know more. I'm desperate to know what kind of role playing this guy is asking for. I mean, is the wife wearing like a handlebar mustache and a red bandana, brother? Is this guy like bending over and getting spanked with a steel chair? Is a kendo stick involved? I mean, gee willikers. Whatever the case is, I have to know more. But that being said, like ultimately, like when you have a partner, you should embrace or at least allow your partner to enjoy what they enjoy. And maybe even if you don't enjoy it as much, like let them have their thing. But when it begins to creep into your own freedom, into your own free will, like this guy's making her call him the final boss. Like, I get it as a joke, like a little irony, like, hey, call me the final boss. But this guy's apparently serious. I think we need to get a hold of this lady. We need to set a red flag on this gentleman and keep an eye on him, because I feel like this lady's going to be tied up somewhere in a trunk or at the bottom of an ocean very soon if this continues. I don't want to predict anything evil like that, but I'm just saying, if we start seeing people get murdered all over the place and all of his victims have yeet glasses on, I think we might have an idea who did it. I mean, like getting for real mad about like a wrestler you wanted to win not winning, like having it seep into your personal life, like outside of the context of watching the show. Like you're 33? Yeah, you're 33. You're about, I don't know, 2 decades at least past the point where that should be happening to you. Like buying the merch and stuff, watching all the shows, that's one thing. Like some people are just really big fans, and I can't, at the heart of it, get mad at him for that. Like if she doesn't like him being a fan of something, maybe they're just not compatible and maybe they shouldn't be together. But there's a point where it becomes clear that the guy is the problem in this scenario.
I am not the kind of expert on marriage or relationships in that regard to share a be-all, end-all point of view on this whole thing. However, I will say this, though. In terms of the wife's argument, I can see where she's coming from, as her husband is spending a lot of time, and especially money, dedicated to his little obsession with professional wrestling. I'm a wrestling fan. I love professional wrestling, but not to the degree of I will spend thousands of dollars on professional wrestling attire or merchandise or whatever the like that's... The second you get to like, oh God, I'm spending thousands of dollars on one thing, that's a little much. I say that as I have an entire video game collection in a toolbox in my apartment. Well, yes, I can see there's a time and place for everything, especially since, bills may be tight, and I can understand her frustration when it comes to that. On the other hand, I see where his love of wrestling can take this kind of devotion, where, hey, this is making me very excited. I love this. This is something that genuinely makes me happy, and it seems like you're not supporting that dream. I get it. I get where he's coming from in that regard. I use my love of gaming as an example. My fiance loves it when I game because it understands it makes me happy and relaxed. And, I spent time and especially money dedicated to my gaming obsession or collection or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And yes, I can see from the wife's point of view that this is concerning. She's getting bombarded with memes and lines of wrestling related. It may seem overwhelming, and it gets to the point of, you're even doing it in the bedroom? That's weird. Listen, we don't kink shame in this department. We never have. However, I understand that he's trying to develop a relationship with his wife through wrestling. Points there. There also comes a point where it takes two to tango in that regard. You know what I mean? It takes two to tango. And I can understand how, from different points of view, how this may be like, oh God, this is weird and like that. But at the same point, it's like, where you're demanding your wife to refer to him as the final boss, it's a WTF kind of attitude. Ultimately, this is a game from the wife's perspective of, am I the asshole? For divorcing my husband because he's too obsessed with professional wrestling. If you get to the itty-gritty details of this regard, then sure, you're not the asshole. But if you're just saying it because, like, my husband's too obsessed with wrestling, it's making me uncomfortable. Okay, how? Then you just sound like an asshole. Ultimately, I think if you were to go to marriage counseling and solve this problem, you could ultimately look at this as it. Hey, it takes two to tango in this regard. My fiance's into the Jonas Brothers. I'm not into the Jonas Brothers in that way. I will not get tattoos of the Jonas Brothers. I won't. That's just me. But I support my fiance's obsession with the Jonas Brothers. She supports my obsession with video games and sports and podcasting, whatever the she supports that. Ultimately, this is a support kind of field. And if you're not in that particular, support system, then I can see where the fine line gets drawn here. That's just where I am at this point.
Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section. Go follow The Apron Bump and Time to BS, available wherever you get podcasts. And follow Kyle on X at Apron Bump and Staniel Smooth on X, either at Staniel Smooth or the show at Time to BS Podcast. Also, please share this video around to everyone you know, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell. I am Troy for the main event Marks and Marks on Media, and I'll see you next time.